So just quick show of hands, how many people here are familiar with Houzz? Great. How many people have a profile on Houzz? Can I use it actively? Okay, super. Thanks for giving me an idea. So before I get started, I wanted to give you guys just a quick story about how Houzz was started. Houzz was founded actually by a husband and wife, and not as a business, but really as a side project. They bought a house in 2006 that hadn't been touched since the 50s. And they went through the process of getting designers and architects referred to them, of buying magazines and books and trying to find a couple of images that they could agree on to help them explain what their vision was. And they found the process, frankly, very frustrating and unsuccessful. And so they started Houzz really as a side project to help themselves. And then friends and family wanted to use it. The architects that they had reached out to were interested in using it. And soon they got requests from professionals across the country to open it up to more and more people. And it grew and grew. And finally, in the summer of 2010, they decided to quit their jobs and really pursue it as a labor of love. And so really everything about Houzz comes from that perspective of how can we make things better for both homeowners and professionals. It wasn't started as a how can I make money, but much more of a how can I change an industry that we feel so passionately about. So with that, I want to talk a little bit about what Houzz is and how you can get the most out of it. And then Rebekah's going to talk a little bit about her own experience. So Houzz really is a technology company. One of our co-founders was a director of technology at eBay. We have an amazing engineering team. Everything really to make it sort of a seamless experience. And part of that experience is a visual experience. So I'm going to show you a little bit about what that experience is, and I'm going to show you a little bit of the iPad app experience, which is similar online. So the Houzz experience starts really with big, beautiful magazine quality images. We have now actually more than 425,000 images in the database, and every single one of these images, like you see here, was uploaded by a professional, like many of you, as part of their portfolio. So every image has attribution for the professional and links back to that professional's profile. We have, we'll get into this more, but tons of kitchen and bath images. I'm just going to show you a little bit about what the experience is like for consumers or professionals using the app. Really just swiping through lots of beautiful images. We get comments from folks like, this is my Prozac, or this is what I do after the kids, thank God, go to school. And I have some time to myself. So a little bit about where we've come since starting as a side project. Houzz actually now has more than 4 million unique users every month on the site, and we did a survey and found out that 85% of them are actually homeowners. 1 in 10 are planning to build a custom home in the next 2 years. 40% are planning to remodel or build an addition in the next 2 years, and 72% are planning to redecorate. Which is a pretty phenomenal focused group of users. Those of you who are familiar with the site, and I'll show this, we have a concept on the site called an idea book, which is really the online equivalent of ripping pages out of magazines and putting them in a manila folder, except now you can do it digitally. You can save and organize them into any number of folders that you want. And we have actually now more than 1.5 million idea books created by users on the site to save and organize their ideas. Oops. The iPad and the iPhone app, we've had more than 1.5 million downloads. We have more than I think it's now 20,000 5-star reviews. And the fun fact here is really there are no other apps that have 20,000 5-star reviews except for games. So it's Houzz and Angry Birds. And we've been featured in a lot of major press. So as I said before, we're a technology company, not really a media company per se. And when you say, well, you've got 425,000 images in your database, that's great, but that's an incredibly overwhelming number for somebody trying to find what they're looking for. So how do we organize that? Well, one of the ways we do it is by enabling people to filter the images. So We have more than, here you can see it's now 69,000 kitchen photos alone. So how do you make sense of those? Well, one of the ways is you can filter those photos by style. So if you're looking for traditional kitchens, you can filter that way. You can filter by metro area. So if you're looking to see a landscape and you want to know what that looks like in the Southwest, you could limit that to your particular area, for example. We have search capability. So if you're looking for, white countertop traditional kitchen, you can look for something as specific as that. And the system will return back just those images that match your query. So once you get the images back and you tap into the images and you start swiping, again, you'll see that you have some choices on the bottom. One is that is go to the professional's profile. So for this particular photo, I say, wow, this is an incredible ceiling and a really interesting countertop shape. I want to see who did this. And I just tap on professional profile and I'm taken here to what the professional profiles look like on Houzz. There's a business icon or a place for your smiling face, name of your business, your website, your contact information, and a place to describe your expertise. And also a link to all the photos or all the projects that you have uploaded to the site. From a homeowner or a designer perspective, the other thing you can do is add photos to an idea book. So if you tap Add to Idea Book, you get a little menu that looks like this. So here I'm saving this to my countertops idea book, and I'm putting a little note to myself, what do I like about this photo? And you'll note I can make that comment private so only I can see it. If I don't check that box, that means the professional who uploaded the photo and really anybody who looks at that photo can see it as well. So one of the fun things, and we'll talk about this later as a professional, is you actually can get a lot of amazing feedback from the community on your work on Houzz. So homeowners discover professionals a lot of different ways on Houzz. One is, as we looked at, they save lots of images to their idea books, and then they often see a pattern. They see people whose work they like, and they can contact them. Another way is to go directly into the professionals directory and search professionals in a particular metro area. You'll see we have about 3,000 kitchen and bath designers active on the site right now. And similarly, they can look by the type of professional as well as filter by the professional's metro area. And another thing unique to Houzz, and another way that more and more homeowners are discovering professionals that they want to work with, is in our community. So there are a couple different ways that you can interact with homeowners on Houzz. One is that when you add photos to your portfolio on Houzz, there's a place for people to ask questions about them. So not only can they save them and make comments about them, but they can actually contact you directly and say, how did you do this? Or what size is this? Or how should I think about that? And you can go ahead and respond to those questions. And all of those questions become part of your profile on Houzz. They become part of your brand. And so it's becoming an increasingly important part of representing who you are, what your expertise is, that you're a pleasant person to work with. As homeowners are doing their due diligence, they might say, wow, I really love your work. But then the second thing they do is they go in and they say, wow, I really like this person's expertise, or I really like how they answer questions, and I would feel comfortable working with them. So that's one way. Another way is more and more designers are actually jumping directly into the community area on Houzz and looking for questions to answer that will showcase their expertise. So maybe you're a smaller designer, maybe you don't have as many photos uploaded as some of the folks who have 500 or 600 photos on Houzz. That's okay. You can go in and see some of the questions that are being asked about kitchens, about bathrooms, about design in general, or you can go in and actually showcase, however much of your expertise you feel comfortable sharing. And again, those questions and your answers become part of your profile on Houzz. It's actually kind of fun. I spend a lot of time in the community looking at the challenges people have. I mean, we've got threads that are, 79 comments long of people who've had, design disasters, and both professionals or homeowners are giving their 2 cents, and then they'll post the before and after photos, and everyone gets excited and feels good about the experience at the end. And it's really become a community where homeowners and professionals come together, and that's really been what the magic is about Houzz. We've had professionals write to me, and I find it really rewarding to say, they spend hours in the community not just because they're trying to build their brand, but they said, I got into this because I wanted to share my expertise. I wanted to interact with people. I like people. And for me, this is putting a face on design, making it accessible. It's not elitist. It puts a face on designers that they are not just experts, but people that I would enjoy working with. And they really feel like it's making the concept of hiring a professional feel much more accessible to more people. So a few stories from folks in our community. I'm going to give you both the homeowner and the professional perspective. So first, we love to go in and read the reviews that we get on the iPad, because people will tell us if we get anything wrong or if we can make improvements, and we're always listening to our community to see what we can be doing better. But a lot of it is just love and fun to read. Here we've got someone saying, currently in process of a major house renovation and remodel, a gutted home. I've used this app every day for the past 6 months. It's helped me incredibly. Thanks, Houzz, you're totally awesome. Or we're building a house and this is a tremendous tool. Photos and ideas for all architectural styles are at your fingertips. So we get a real diversity. So then you ask yourself, okay, you've got people that are using the app. How many people are really remodeling? Well, we surveyed people. We got 30,000 people sent us their responses back. And we found that 49% of the homeowners on Houzz are planning a bathroom remodel in the next 2 years, and 43% are planning a kitchen remodel. And we have these numbers broken out by region, et cetera, but on average, people are spending about $27,000 on their kitchen remodel, and then almost $13,000 on average on a bathroom remodel. So these are folks that are really actively researching projects that that they're planning to do. So a couple case studies of kitchen and bath designers on Houzz for you. So Terry Turan was on Houzz, been on Houzz probably for about a year. And for a while, she'd get questions about her photos, and she'd answer nicely questions about what paint color something was or what the material was for an island. And then in this past winter, she got contacted by the Miller family, who are looking to redo their bathroom and their laundry room. And they had spent a lot of time already on Houzz looking at her portfolio and looking at how she answered questions. And they felt like her style really matched their design. And they hired her within a matter of weeks. And then while she was working on that project, she sent us a note and said that she had gotten another client. The client actually contacted her after following her for a year on Houzz. So this person had been saving up for a year and had started their research process at the same time that they started their savings plan, and had really picked her out and followed her over a long period of time, watching what she does. And I thought that was really interesting and kind of a good example of how things are changing, how the process is changing for homeowners with Houzz. So it's no longer I'm kind of saving up some ideas, and then when I'm ready to go, that's when I'm going to start my research about who to hire. Those processes are now going hand in hand at the same time that they're saving images. Well, that's the same time that they're discovering the possibilities, not just of what they can do with their kitchen or bath, but who they could hire for their kitchen and bath, and start to interact with that person. Terry's also active in the community, and she really uses the feedback that she gets on the site for her other marketing efforts. So she looks at which of her images are being saved to idea books, which ones are getting the most comments, and that's how she's making a decision on what photos to use on her own website, on what photos to use in her other marketing efforts. It's really giving her feedback, and we hear this over and over again. I think everybody who's created anything in their lives, when it's personal, you don't really have a good objective view on what's going to really resonate with other people. And we've heard from a lot of designers that they've changed out the images that they use in their marketing from the things that they were emotionally attached to those images that are hands down the most popular images on Houzz, because they know that's going to resonate with the most people, and it's helped them make much more objective marketing decisions. Dannenberg Design, another example. Couple on the West Coast were looking for contemporary kitchens. They thought, used Houzz. They thought Houzz had the largest database of contemporary kitchens. And when they found the Dannenberg's work, they really felt like, over and over again, they were saving the Dannenberg's images to their idea books. It really looked different than any other work that they'd seen on Houzz, and they literally called the Dannenbergs on a Saturday, and the contract was signed on Monday, and they started the project. Similarly, the Dannenbergs they're active, they answer questions. they upload a lot of their work to Houzz, and the feedback from the couple was, they really felt like they wouldn't have connected. They never would have found these folks if they hadn't been on Houzz. So a little bit about how you guys can get the most out of your Houzz experience. So really, it's about being discoverable. And I think that's the case for everyone who's using Facebook or any other tools to get exposure for the business. How can more and more people discover you? So photos are a big part of that. Uploading as many high-quality photos of your work helps, because there's just more chance that those photos are going to be exposed to homeowners on the iPad and the photo stream as they're doing searches. Again, because we're a technology company, we give you tools to make those photos even more discoverable. So you can add what we call keywords to your photos. So you want to put in every descriptive term that you can think of that's relevant, that if somebody was searching for it, you'd want your photo to show up as an example of that. So adding, really giving some thought to keywords is important. Don't be held back. Upload your photos, add 10 keywords. You can always go back and add more. There's no, Houzz is a nice fluid platform. Don't feel like once you create your profile, you can't make it better or improve it over time. You absolutely can. The second is to interact with the homeowner community. Answer the questions you get about your photos, but don't be afraid to kind of dive into the general community and the design dilemmas that are going on there, and adding your 2 cents. Reviews are a big part of it. When we think about the Houzz philosophy, we're not a small group of people trying to dictate design trends or, tell everyone this is the way it has to be. We really consider it we're a reflection of what the community wants. So instead of saying, this is the color trend of the year, we're actually coming back to professionals and saying, guess what? These are the most popular kitchens. These are the most popular images saved. Here's what homeowners are actually doing. And it's really the same way from the community too. We really want the community's feedback on you. One of the nice things is that a designer who's newer to the business or maybe coming back to the business can have just as powerful a profile as someone who's been in the business for a while, if they really have the goods to show, if they're doing the work, if they've got positive reviews from the community. And so, getting people to review your work, we have a review system, and we really encourage that to be a strong part of your profile as well. And again, don't be afraid of starting now and enriching your profile over time. A lot of people are intimidated. They're intimidated about uploading photos, or are they getting it right? You're not going to mess it up. And then we have a really wonderful team. You can email support@Houzz anytime, and we're extremely responsive. We help people with everything from technical issues to just, how they should handle, questions that they don't want to answer, for example. And we give advice on just, being yourself, being honest. If you don't have the expertise, say, hey, I didn't work on that, or, that was the builder, and, be honest. Don't feel like you have to answer something that you're not comfortable with. So when I first started at Houzz, I interviewed about 100 professionals about how they were using Houzz. And based on the feedback, boiled it down to about 10 main things, some of which we've talked about. One, the number one thing is a communication tool. So that idea book feature where you're saving images to idea books, well, we've added a lot of new features in the last few months to make that even more collaborative. So idea books can now be shared between homeowners and professionals, rather than having to create separate idea books and trying to share them. You can actually share a single idea book. You can give your clients either editing rights or just viewing rights to specific idea books, so that if you want to give them editing rights, they can actually go in there and make comments on the photos that you've put there, tell you what they like or what they don't like. Similarly, homeowners can create idea books and share them with you. Most professionals that I've talked to are using it as really the first step before they even have a kickoff meeting, so they can have a better idea of what homeowners want or don't want, or like or don't like. Again, because homeowners don't have the verbal tools often to articulate what they want or articulate it right, but everybody has eyes and can show you what they covet. Second, again, we talked about this, just getting more exposure to homeowners in general. client education. I talked to a lot of builders and other folks who said, I have clients that are almost clients, but they just can't get over the hurdle. They don't really know what their style is, and so they're afraid to take that first step. And so they send people to Houzz just so they can get over that discomfort and say, oh, I actually do have a point of view. I can point to you and say, here's my vision, here's what I'd like my style to be, and it makes the process less scary. Credibility builder. So again, we talked about this, answering questions in the community, even just having a profile with all their information, with projects. One of the things that people professionals are starting to use idea books for more and more often is kind of as a mini blog. It doesn't even have to be regular, but you can create idea books from your own images or really from any images on Houzz and add as much text as you want and give your own viewpoint on trends or how you approach things or what your philosophy is on design. So beyond just the business description, you can actually add a lot more to your profile to enrich it. Image search, so a lot of folks told me that they used to use Google Images, but now they found that Houzz is just much more effective for finding that one last little thing they need to finish off a project. Same thing for product resource, they're finding new products that they might not otherwise have seen. Traffic builder, we have a lot of people telling us they're getting anywhere between 15 and 50% of their own website traffic directly from Houzz, referral traffic. Exposure to the industry. We've got folks who are, and I think Rebekah's an example, I don't know if you were discovered through Houzz, but we have a lot of folks who actually have been on the cover of This Old House or other major shelter publications as a result of their work being discovered on Houzz. Marketing insights, again, we talked about getting the feedback on your images and seeing what people really think. And finally, just validation. A lot of people are, right, you're independent, small businesses. You don't necessarily always get to work with large teams or large groups of people or, hundreds of clients. And so just being able to get that feedback from the community and the validation that your work has been added to hundreds or thousands of idea books really feels good to people to see that their work is being seen and appreciated. So with that, I want to introduce Rebekah Zaveloff. I think she had a nice introduction already, but she's extremely entrepreneurial. She's been with Houzz for about 2 years as a contributor, as a designer, and uses it probably in every which way possible. And so rather than just having me tell you kind of what I'm hearing, I thought it would be good for you to hear it from the horse's mouth. So Rebekah, do you want to? Why don't you just take one of these? Yeah, stay.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. Okay, great. Hi. Can you hear me? Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much, Liza. Liza, sorry, I always say that. I learned as much from this as anyone, because when I first got on Houzz, it took me a while to kind of figure it out, and I definitely recommend that people do that. You spend some time playing on the site and really getting a sense of what other designers are doing if you're trying to figure out the best way to use it for yourself. I definitely spent, I think, a whole weekend on it. As all great things, I actually was sent this from my mother, which is hilarious. She sent me an email and said, have you heard of this? I don't think I told you that. She sent me an email that had said, have you heard of this thing, Houzz? And I went on there, and it took me a little bit of time to sort of to go through all the site, see what designers were doing, try to figure out where we fit in. The first thing I did was upload pictures. And Houzz has been indispensable to our business. I mean, it has just been incredible over the last couple of years. We uploaded pretty much our entire portfolio, and we've been so busy lately that we haven't even gotten current projects on there. So just to give you an idea, just to sort of, I'm going to kind of jump on here real quick. And yeah, let me see here. Yeah, that'd be great. Perfect. I'll let you go on there. For example, okay, so let me go to, let's see, my house maybe. Oh, no, that's professionals. Okay. Oops. Oh, here we go. Okay. So we'll just kind of flip through here. Okay, thanks. I should know how to use the iPad app at this point. So in terms of how it's worked for me and how we've used it, to give you an example, one of our projects that is on here, which is this project here, this kitchen, as it loads. I think when we started, we were like, it was in about 2,000 different idea books, and I think at this point it's in 14,000 over the course of a couple of years. And even 6 months ago, it was in about 6,600. So just to give you an idea, I mean, that is just mind-boggling to think about how many people and how many eyes are on one project. You sort of lose track of that. a lot of times with the internet, especially when you're a small business like we are, you put things out there and you have no idea who's seeing them. I mean, it's not like anybody's talking back to you. And so you get the sense that you're putting things out in the universe and you just really don't have anybody kind of talking back. And this is incredible because you can get a sense of who in the community is getting back to you. When it comes to the questions and answer section as well, I do a lot of answering questions. I've gotten emails from people all over the country just thanking me for answering questions randomly, which is kind of cool as well. And I find it to be really helpful because even when we get things published in magazines, people email and have questions, and this is a really great way to be able to interact with the community and answer questions that people might have that are one-offs, or even just sort of, thanking you for putting something out there because they were able to find something that was a resource. But even as a business, forget just the idea that you're able to put your product out there and the goal of a designer is to have as many people see your work as possible. I use Houzz as a tool for all of my clients. I mean, every single one of them has an idea book. If they didn't know about Houzz already, which most of them do now, when I first started working with Houzz, I would ask people if they knew who Houzz was or what Houzz was. And, I'd say about 25%, and I would send them there, and they would be addicted. I mean, I could see them being on there until 4 o'clock in the morning, and getting emails from people, which was pretty funny. But that said, I create idea books to try and communicate my ideas to people as well. So, for example, if I have a client that's struggling with an island design, I'll put a bunch of pictures in idea book of other people's work, sort of showing people leg designs, overhangs, different types of things, because it really helps homeowners understand and picture, and then they immediately can jump on there and sort of riff on what you did and find lots more pictures, add them to their own idea books, and you create this completely visual dialogue, which design, of course, is, we know, and it's really hard sometimes when you're a designer and you speak visually and you've got a homeowner who may not, to be able to understand what they want and for you to know that they know what you're talking about. So not only do I use it as a marketing tool, but I use it as literally a business tool just for clients every day. And the follow tool is awesome. That's kind of new. I don't know how old that is, but before I would just get my clients' usernames. But now you can follow your clients, they can follow you. And what's also really interesting for us is that, I mean, I would say a year ago, 25% of our clients probably would say, oh, I followed you on Houzz, or I found you in this magazine article or whatever. Now it's like every single client, whether they found us there or not, says, I follow you on Houzz, I have an idea book, and I send you my username. So it's pretty amazing. I mean, it's really great. It's grown a lot for us. We have people from all over the country. I have a client that we just hired that hired us 3 months ago from Florida that was moving to Chicago, whereas normally most of our business obviously is local, but we have a national company as well that we do design for remotely, so that's helped immensely as well. But even just with our local business, people from out of town finding us that might not have had a referral, to give, from somebody local because they didn't live here. So just to give you an idea. Just trying to think about what else. The product section too is really great. I'm going to kind of go to a kitchen again. The product section is awesome because even trying to keep track of the products that we use on our own projects, and then when people ask about them, they're tagged so people can find the product. I like to help a lot of the companies that we resource our product from, so that way they can find this and then they can use it if they want. But the truth is that ultimately we all know that it's really hard to put a kitchen together without, not only am I 9 months pregnant, but I have a cold, so sorry about that. It's hard to put a kitchen together without a designer's help, and Houzz is a first step in that, in terms of helping people find you and find out if they like your work and want to work with you. But on top of that, they can get access to some resources that might be helpful as well. So, is there anything else?
Yeah, we wanted to open it up to questions and see if any and all questions. Yes.
I recently found a wonderful table on Houzz and recommended it to a client based on the price that was on Houzz. And then when I called the company, it was over $200 more than was listed on Houzz. So how do you deal with pricing with clients when sometimes the pricing that is on Houzz isn't current?
So it's probably an expectations setting thing. Houzz is not a retailer, and all of the tags come from the professionals. So if the product gets tagged 2 years ago by the professional that uploaded it with the price at that time, that unfortunately that's what's there. So it probably just a setting of an expectation of finding out more about that product's latest price. But I can see that would be a challenge. Yep. Anyone else? Any other good questions?
Our company has a team of highly skilled craftsmen, and we build the products that we're looking at here. We're not necessarily a design firm, but we're a builder of cabinetry. Do you have manufacturers using Houzz?
So the answer is yes. We have a lot of manufacturers using Houzz. We actually have professional categories specifically for vendors, showrooms, manufacturers. So we have one for cabinetry, for example. And the other thing I will mention is that the Houzz platform is set up to give credit to everyone associated with a particular image. So another way for you to get more exposure is to make sure that you're communicating with the other professionals that you work with, because on every photo you can give credit to the photographer, to any of the other people who were a part of that. And the advantage of doing that is that when you get questions about your photos, it's much easier to direct people to the person that could actually answer that question. But we do encourage professionals to give credit to everyone involved.
Hello. I'm with LK Manufacturing, and we have a number of boards for our different brands, and we love it. We have lots and lots of activity going on Houzz already, so it's fantastic. Question is, what's next for Houzz? What kinds of tools are going to be added? What can we look forward to in terms of even more engagement with potential customers?
That's an excellent question. So we are definitely developing more and more all the time. We are actually investing a lot to figure out how we can do more with brands like yours. One of the ways that is happening right now is in the community. So we have a community manager, and we've built best practices and are happy to share them and talk to any brands that want to get involved and enrich their own profile. We have some great examples. So we have, so for example, I think Kohler has created idea books on Houzz, pulling images from all different professionals that showcase their products. And that's great because it gives more exposure to those professionals when they go and see the products. And kind of builds, it's good relationship building with the trade for you as a brand. And they're also interacting directly with the community. So they're actually folks who have social teams at the larger brands will go in and look for plumbing questions or furniture questions or lighting questions, and actually start to interact directly with homeowners to help educate and kind of put a human face on the brand as well. So we're adding more and more tools to make it easier for professionals to interact with homeowners, all kinds of professionals, everyone from the small businesses to the large brands, and trying to enrich the community. That's definitely one major area of focus.
Hi, I have my own design firm, primarily green design, green environmental interiors, kitchens and baths. But one of the things, I've been using it for a couple years, that my efficiency level has probably doubled, because I use the idea books for my clients, and before I even, like you said, get to them, I send them, they tell me what they're looking for, I send them pictures, sometimes they send me pictures, but it's cut down my having to go back and forth with samples and magazines and pictures. It's cut that down probably 75%. And in Atlanta traffic, that's huge. And so it's really been huge. I actually use when they find, like if I have a picture, when I finally come up with it, I use it as a sign-off. In the comment section, when it's a private comment, that's their sign-off that that's what they want. So I use it as to develop into part of my contract with them. But there's so many ways to use it, and also the brands as well. I go in and do brand searches because I'm partial to certain brands, like a lot of us are. And I find my efficiency levels at least doubled, and so has my income level because of it.
That's great to hear. I'll just put some questions back out to you guys if you don't mind. So some of the challenges that I've heard from professionals, one is, getting photos taken and uploaded. Does anyone have any advice for the community or any feedback from us about how we can better facilitate that process? Does anyone have, we've heard stories like, well, people are being more proactive about partnering with all the professionals that worked on a project and going in on the cost of getting work photographed because, again, that's one of the major hurdles. Any thoughts, good experiences? Anyone had?
So many of the young kids now, even high school and college kids, they have an eye for this because of their video focus. That I hire kids that are in high school or college, graphic arts kids, and they take some of the best. They take photos every bit as good as some of these, and they're very inexpensive. They love doing it. They put it in their own portfolio. It comes to mine, and I just go to the local colleges, and we have a design arts college right there in Atlanta, and I pull from them all the time. They love it. It helps me. It helps them.
Thank you. That's a great suggestion. Anyone else? Anyone else using Houzz? Anything that's confusing or you've always wondered, or no? Everyone feels like an expert. Great. Well, thank you all very, very much.